Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get in the Garage.
We're a music podcast.
For music lovers.
We have got a great show planned for you today, but before we begin, please remember to like and comment and subscribe and share the podcast with all your friends and your family. And the special listener of the day today is...
As someone that likes to ski, I'm gonna go skiing.
Skiing.
I'm gonna change it.
Skiers.
Skiing. It's skiing.
Okay, so skiers, if you're...
Yes. This is winter.
Yeah, it is winter time. We're finally saying farewell to winter. If you French fry when you're supposed to pizza, you're going to have a bad time.
I
So,
strongly agree.
Just always remember that. Luke, what's in store for today?
I will tell you, we have music news on the podcast. Like always, stay informed. And then we're going to cover the musical year that was 2002. We're going to go through all the highlights, the pop culture moments. We're going to tell you our favorite albums of the year, all that great stuff. And then, in the second half of the show, we're going to review the brand new album by Miley Cyrus. The album is called Endless Summer Vacation. We are going to talk about it. We are going to rate it. You're going to want to see what we say. Stay tuned. Check it out. Wow. Get in the garage. Alex, play the theme song.
Roll the music. Wow.
With the hands, too. Wow.
We have to get enthused for this show. This is music news.
All right. For the first time since 1987, vinyl outsold CDs last year.
Hooray.
In physical media, 41 million vinyl records versus 33 million CDs.
Holy crap.
Parentheses, 84% of all recorded music revenue is still streaming. But for the first time since 1987, vinyl outsold CDs.
That's pretty impressive.
I'd say so.
I thought this already happened in like 2015 or 16 or like maybe a couple years ago, but maybe I was mistaken and I did read this the other day or today and I was like, wow.
What it could have been total number of dollars and not units.
That might have been what that was.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Then, because I remember reading something and I'm like, man, did I read that right? And then you're probably right. That is correct. But physical copies, that's very impressive. Shout out to all those Swifties that bought 6 copies of that new Taylor Swift record.
Yeah.
And Luke, as you can see, accounted for 6% of the market.
Yeah. That's very interesting, though. I think it's great, man. I think it's cool how, it seems now that everybody has the convenience of streaming music and bringing that with them everywhere that they go. But, I think that vinyl records create a sort of an ambiance and also... it makes music listening sort of a hobby. There's nothing quite like buying a vinyl record and you get the full gatefold and the whole thing. I certainly love it. So.
I like it quite a bit, as you can see.
Needless to say,
Entrap
for Luke.
yourself in your hobbies. Create your own prison.
Yes. I've got some vinyl news. Metallica just bought their very own vinyl pressing plant.
What?
Crazy, right? Yeah. So, as Jeff said, LPs are kind of going through the roof, and everybody wants vinyl. And more specifically, a lot of people are buying a lot of vinyl records that are Metallica albums. So Metallica decided that they were going to purchase a record pressing plant. It sold for nearly, oh no, sorry, that's not right. Yeah, it doesn't list exactly how much they paid for it, but I think that's kind of a cool thing. I really hope that they don't, they don't do like a weird Metallica thing and they're like, well, we only press our own records now, or something strange like that.
Guess what?
I don't think that would be.
They might.
I don't think that would be cost effective at all.
No,
Because,
I definitely don't think so either.
No, because you'd have to just to make money, you'd have to do it like other inventories and
Yeah, it's the Furnace Record pressing plant in Alexandria, Virginia.
So it's like a running, operating record plant.
Quote, we couldn't be more happy to take our partnership with Furnace and its founders to the next level, Lars Ulrich said in a statement. The plant has been, quote, great to Metallica and more importantly to our fans. And that buying it will guarantee the potential vinyl buyers a continued access to high quality records in the future. So
that
I think that's
probably
pretty cool.
sounds like to me like a partnership with an existing like record plant would mean like a band really big like Metallica is able to come in there and like put money into maybe like more presses and things of that nature, and a higher, because there's a need for more pressing plants in America. We just don't have them, or around the world really, and they just don't have them, and they're not easy to start up. So this sounds like a band like having an interest in doing that financially and making it work, and I'm all for that. More artists should do that. That's
I
cool.
agree. Yeah, it's
Very
putting
cool.
the power back into the artist's hands, so I like that. I'm into it.
Very cool, very cool. Michael said a couple weeks ago that Brian May of Queen was going to be knighted, and he was knighted. So I thought that was interesting. He was knighted for, let me get this straight for you. He was knighted for his charity work and his work with music. So that was pretty cool. And King Charles said congratulations, even though nobody really cares about that. And the Queen's Twitter account was like, congratulations, Brian May. So
From the grave?
from the grave.
She's tweeting from the royal
I
grave.
thought was pretty cool, and he got knighted, and so congratulations to him, and his charity work with music, and his love and expression of music is very evident, and he shares it with everybody whenever he can, and it's very cool. So
Congratulations to Sir Brian May.
Sir Brian May.
This past weekend were the Academy Awards, the 95th Oscars. Some music awards that were given out. Original score went to Volker Bertelmann for All Quiet on the Western Front. Original song went to M.M. Kiravani and Chandra Bose for the song Natu Natu from the Indian film RRR. It became the first Indian production to win the Best Original Song Oscar. And M.M., it was a good speech. I thought it was like maybe one of the 3 best speeches of the night. He went up, he said, "Thank you. I used to listen to the Carpenters when I was growing up." And then he sang the Carpenters song Top of the World and just changed all the lyrics to be about like coming from rags to riches to make this movie. And now I'm at the top of the world. And he sang it. It was like really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the Oscars. And, Lady Gaga performed, Rihanna performed, David Byrne performed, the cast of RRR performed a dance, and Diane Warren was nominated. I forget who performed because I went fast forward through that one.
You know who didn't win, or what movie didn't win any awards? The Elvis movie.
The Elvis movie did not win any awards.
No, I think they won some Golden. Is it Golden Globes the other one?
They did. I finished watching that movie this week.
Yeah.
It took me 5 days to get through that movie.
Did you like it?
I thought Tom Hanks was so distractingly weird and bad that there were scenes where I'm like, is Austin Butler really good in this movie, or is Tom Hanks that bad in comparison? And then there were other scenes that Tom Hanks was so weird and Austin Butler was next to him and they're talking, and I'm like, is this just a bad like Lifetime movie? It had pros and cons. Baz Luhrmann films are always like crazy carnival rides. I thought overall though, it's like the Queen movie a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, the VH1 Temptations thing was better than these.
I agree.
100%.
Give me that Jackson's made-for-TV movie
yes.
any day
That was
over
so
that
good.
crap.
Yeah.
That was so good. So Robert Smith has acknowledged problems with The Cure's U.S. ticketing strategy. So Ticketmaster's in the news once again. So The Cure are launching onto this giant world tour. They've been running into some issues with the sales in the United States, Ticketmaster sales and stuff like that. They had decided that they didn't want to do any of those like the platinum ticketing prices and the
Dynamic ticketing
and all that kind of stuff. Instead, they decided that they just wanted to just, do it the way that they're doing it now, where it's like verified users have access to tickets. Apparently,
and old school low pricing. So
old school low pricing.
And like everybody is the same ticket.
Right,
That kind
yeah.
of thing.
$20.
And to try to, avoid any sort of scalping of tickets or anything like that. There's kind of a toss-up on whether or not that's actually worked. Apparently, there are some tickets to these shows being sold on second-hand, like StubHub-style websites and stuff. He claims that they are a con. Who's to really say? Those are also multi-million-dollar, companies and endeavors that find ways to get a hold of these tickets anyway. So who's to really say what's happening? Though, as a strange turn of events, the fees that Ticketmaster is charging along with the sales of these tickets actually end up costing more than the tickets themselves do. So that's kind of terrible.
There was a tweet that got put out where
Yes.
a customer had ordered 4 tickets at $20 a piece, and the service fees are $11.65 a piece times 4, coming up to $46. Facility charges $10 a piece, another $40, and order price fee is $5.50. So like $20 tickets, an $80 ticket turned into $172, which is pretty staggering.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just of note in the current industry. I don't think the band had anything to do with it. They tried. It's like, what are you gonna do, man? You can't be blaming Robert. He's trying.
Yeah, the monolith rises again. You know what I mean? It's like, what can you do?
Also, some of these things are they're listed as like venue fees. And what a lot of people don't realize is those venue fees will never go away as long as people trash every venue they ever see a concert at, because those venues have to pay a staff of people to clean up after all of these shows.
Yeah, that's the other thing I think that.
So that
people don't think of,
$5 gets hit on everything. That's almost exclusively like janitorial staff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I mean, hats off to The Cure for just doing like $20 tickets, though. I mean, I think that's pretty rad.
Yeah, rock on, The Cure.
So rock on The Cure.
You're just like heaven.
Yeah.
Wow.
Luca?
I have one more thing here. I would just like to point out that Lenny Kravitz is hosting the 2023 iHeartRadio Music Awards, which I thought was kind of exciting that they got like a musician like Lenny Kravitz to do it. I think it's going to be interesting and cool. I heard about it and I wanted to shout it out because I think it was something like we were kind of like floating out an idea like that of like host of award shows, like who they should be, and Lenny Kravitz is our boy, so shout out Lenny Kravitz and good luck at the iHeartRadio Music Awards.
He performed at the Oscars as well. He was the song during the In Memoriam section.
Oh,
I love Lenny Kravitz. He played an extremely boring song. But, it didn't distract from a collage of people who had died. So
Yeah, rest in peace.
We have a rest in peace today. R&B singer Bobby Caldwell passed away, 71 years old, known for his hit song What You Won't Do for Love, which was sampled by Tupac for his song Do for Love. He was one of those like blue-eyed soul guys from the late 70s. He has extremely bad album covers. Check him out. He looks kind of like a late 70s pimp meets Frank Sinatra, and later on in life he actually was a Frank Sinatra like impersonator type of like show guy in Vegas.
I thought you were going to say he was a pimp.
I thought you were going to say that too.
Other big songs that he had, My Flame, which was sampled by Notorious B.I.G. for the song Sky's the Limit, Open Your Eyes, which was sampled by Common for the song The Light. But yeah, one of those classics, What You Won't Do for Love. It's one of those like slow jams from the late 70s. I think it's like 1978. So great voice. Check out like his live recordings. Bobby Caldwell still singing great, like even up until his late 60s and stuff.
Rest in peace, Bobby.
Rest in peace, Bobby. There will be / kind of has already been released a new Little Richard documentary that is entitled I Am Everything. It is directed by Lisa Cortez. It premiered at the Sundance Film Festival early this year, and it'll be available on digital mediums April 21st. There's some one night only screenings in theaters.
Yeah, there's one near us I was looking at going to because this looks like an interesting movie.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it should be interesting, man. For those who don't know who Little Richard is, look him up.
He's the archetype of rock and roll. He's the piano version of Chuck Berry. He's the everything Elvis copied, that kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you ask Lemmy, he
invented rock and roll.
He invented rock and roll. So
and
he's
Lemmy
he's like
rock and
Elton John if he like smoked meth.
Exactly.
I love Little Richard. Rubber Ducky. He used to sing that on Sesame Street.
on Sesame Street. That was come on now.
With his hairnet.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
And it's
so good.
full face full of makeup. Amazing.
Oh my goodness.
I have some birthdays. Today is the 80th birthday of Sly Stone, one of the forefathers of funk.
Happy birthday, Sly.
Sly Stone, speaking of smoking meth and crack. But he's still here, 80 years old. And yesterday was
he's still
alive.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were like anniversary.
No, he's still alive.
Sly Stone's still alive.
Do some research, but I believe
my gosh.
Yeah, I think I researched.
Is he still smoking crack and meth?
I don't know. And also yesterday was the 90th birthday of Quincy Jones, who is in some accounts like one of the most notable figures in American pop music over the last, do the math, 70-ish years. He started his career as a trumpet player and an arranger conductor in like technically the late 40s, but definitely like 1951, 52, and then became this like kind of one of the heralded black artists in the 50s and 60s and nominated for Oscars. Record for most Grammy nominations. How many Grammy nominations do you think Quincy Jones has
He's
received?
probably got like 63.
Nominations.
Probably like 63.
I'll up the ante. I'll say 80.
80 on the dot.
Oh, look at that. That was just a guess, by the way.
And-
First time you've won this game.
And
know.
of course, Quincy Jones, the producer of Michael Jackson's hit run, possibly the biggest selling 1, 2, 3 Punch, Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad. They like sold, it was like 20 million, 80 million, 40 million, like crazy. And just a one of a kind, especially jazz, like pop jazz producers, known for the song Soul Bossa Nova, the Austin Powers theme song. So look up the 60s Quincy Jones stuff where he's just conducting and arranging and like it's a big band. And
The Dude.
yeah. A great album cover, Sweetwater Jack. Is that what it's called?
Swamp Water.
It's a Carole
That's
King
the
song.
song. Yeah,
Smackwater Jack, whatever it's called. Great album cover. Look
I think
it
it's
up.
called Swamp Water.
Yeah, something like that.
Great documentary on him too. I think it's
Oh,
on
yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, one
It's
of
great.
one of the best shit talkers in music history.
Oh,
too.
amazing.
What's your sign?
Heavy into astrology. Yeah, I was just gonna say. Yeah, he asked everybody what their
yeah.
sign is.
Astrology is a means to an end. Let's just say he doesn't give a fuck about which side is.
Yeah,
But 90 years old.
typical Taurus
Still
over
going, man. Still dating 29-year-old women.
here. Hey, well, there you go, Quincy.
Rock on, Quincy.
Good for you. Anything else, Luke? I know you have.
Oh, I have one more thing to share with us.
Let's hit it.
Every good celebrity gets when they're at an award show, if they're worth their while, there tends to be a streaker that comes on stage and makes the moment. So this happened to Avril Lavigne, just like Bob Dylan in the past, and we'll watch it. So this is what happened
At the Junos, the
Yes.
Canadian Grammys.
The Juno Awards.
And pop records fused with his Punjabi roots. Based in Victoria, BC, his music has gained a worldwide audience with sold out
She sounds
shows
pilled
in
up,
Canada,
man.
Comfortable.
In
US.
Canada,
Get the
the
fuck off.
U.S.
Get the fuck out, bitch!
So she tells this girl to F
He
off
has sold
and then
out
F
shows.
off, bitch. And then the security grabs her and she gets off the stage. I would also like to note that the security should have like pounced like way faster. Like there was a lot of talking in that, right?
Sir, what do we do? They're coming after Avril Lavigne. Game time decision.
So-
We'll see what happens. Who cares?
For our listeners at home that did not see the video, there is a woman, a topless woman, in a pink, like looks like pajama bottoms
Yeah,
and like
scrubs or something,
yeah,
maybe.
and like
Oh, I
pink,
thought that was a satyr.
yeah, and a pink like bandana, and she's like topless with pasties on, and it says like "Save the trees" or something like that,
Yeah,
which
save
like
the green belt. Or something.
right on, save the trees. But so that was weird, and it happened to Avril Lavigne, and it was kind of
And it could happen to you.
it could happen to you.
It could happen
Happened
to
to Bob
anybody.
Dylan once. Remember that guy? He had like something weird written on his chest. I forget what it was. I'll put it up here. You'll see what it is. But we won't. And that I just thought it was interesting, of note.
Yeah.
So
Well, there you have it. This has been music news.
this was music news.
So
We move on to one of the greatest years of music history.
Yes, we do.
2002, a year in which I was 14 years old. I was starting my freshman year of high school. I believe Luke was 10.
Yes, I was.
Mike was 13. Alex, how old were you in 2002? 6?
4.
And we all know no one's a tastemaker more than a 4-year-old.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
So, as you know, we run down the years in
Oh,
music
God.
on this show, and I give you everything.
It's a slow walk down. It's not run down.
I'll give you everything that was, so you really get the
Drag
the
through.
essence of
It's a
the
big
year.
for
we're
three
talking
doors
about.
down.
Who do we care about? Who do we care about here?
Linkin Park,
Linkin Park.
and Green Day. That's all we care about.
This is the only
Well,
thing
you're
we
in
care
luck.
about. Okay. You are in luck, everybody. So we are going to start this off in January 23rd. Virgin Records buys out Mariah Carey's contract for $28 million, essentially paying her not to make music anymore with the music label. So that happened at the beginning of the year. February 15th, U.S. singer Britney Spears takes her first starring role in the iconic film Crossroads. Remember that?
blockbuster film, you mean?
Yes, Crossroads, a great touchstone in music culture. May 8th, Mariah Carey got a new music
Double Mariah
contract.
Carey. It's a double Mariah.
I just wanted to say the redemption
no.
was fast. She signed
Oh,
for Island
okay.
Def Jam like that.
Okay.
So
Good for
she
her.
was all good. She found a home. May 26th, the Eminem show was released, and white parents across America were horrified. June 11th, Paul McCartney marries his second wife, Heather Mills, and it ends sadly, and he loses a lot of money. So I wanted to put that in there.
Spoiler alert.
And the iconic American Idol premieres that day as well. So
2002.
Wow.
that is also of note that
Who
happened.
won season 1?
Kelly Clarkson.
I was going to
baby.
say it's Kelly Clarkson, right?
Kelly Clarkson, June
Justin should have
20th.
won.
Britney Spears, 20 years of age, is ranked as Forbes' world's most powerful celebrity. So I wanted to point out that Britney Spears was the Kim Kardashian celebrity of the moment in that way, and Forbes was like, she's that powerful.
She's 21.
Yeah, and the Who's John Entwistle died on June 27th of that year in the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas at the age of 57.
Wow.
Look up how he died if you're into that kind of thing. It was
Quick, get those leather pants off him and put him in a glass case.
it was a real rock and roll way to go. So there's that. July 23rd, My Chemical Romance released their first album. September 3rd, Napster is finally shut down for good. So that was a bummer. It got sold out and all that fun
Thanks
stuff.
a lot, Lars.
Rest
Thanks a
in
lot.
peace.
September 4th, Kelly Clarkson did win American Idol.
Thank you.
You jumped my gun. October 30th, Jam Master Jay
Killed.
was murdered. Rest in peace. So that was a bummer. But then on November 19th, we had Michael Jackson doing his iconic weird thing that happened that year where he held his child out the window.
Oh, that was that year,
That
huh?
was that year on
Blanket.
November
Where's
19th.
Blanket now?
Where is Blanket now? What's going on? Paris
Prince,
Jackson.
Prince Michael, too. He had two sons, both named Prince.
Yes. Oh, so
Oh, my God.
So I really wanted to add that in because I feel like this was music culture at this moment was it was so strange. It was such
What
a
a
strange
year.
moment.
What a year.
And then December 22nd, back to the bummers, Joe Strummer passed away. So that was your year in
I thought we had
2002.
Linkin Park news.
You have no
No.
Linkin Park news.
Oh.
No Aerosmith news.
No Aerosmith news. No Linkin Park news.
No Green Day news.
Sad.
Bummer,
This was an
guys.
L.
This was an L for your music rundown.
Well, what
okay.
can you
Top 10 best-selling albums that year
Oh.
Hit it.
in the United States.
10-1.
Yep, here we
Okay.
go. We have Misunderstood with a Z by Pink.
Yeah.
We have Home by the Dixie Chicks at number 9. Number 8, 8701 by,
Usher.
there you go. Number 7 is A New Day Has Come by Celine Dion. Number 6 is Silver Side Up
Oh.
by your boys Nickelback. There you
Let's
go.
go.
Number 5 is Laundry Service by the iconic Shakira. Number 4 is Britney by Britney Spears.
It's Britney, bitch.
Number 3 is Let Go by Avril Lavigne, very much of the time. Nellyville is number 2 by Nelly. And then number 1 is best-selling album of the year.
2002.
It's very obvious, guys. It's the Eminem Show
Oh,
by
oh,
Eminem.
yeah.
That probably sold 1 million in the first week. And all
Yes,
that
he
kind
really,
of stuff.
he really killed
Wow.
it that year. And then this is the Billboard end of the year top 10 songs of
Okay.
the year. 10-1. We have Blurry by Puddle of Mud.
It holds up, actually, for that era.
No, it doesn't. I
that's
hear it
the
on
only
the
song
radio
of that
all
era
the
that
time.
holds
Jeff,
up.
let the record show that Jeff is sticking up for Puddle of Mud.
Listen,
and yet
guys.
he taunts me for liking Nickelback.
I hear it on the radio all the time. Doesn't hold up. Does not hold up.
I don't know. Can you take it all away? Out of those songs, it
It's
holds
better
up.
than Stained. I'll say that. I'll say that. Oh, jeez. Contention right off the bat. Here we go. Number 9, You Got It Bad by Usher.
Yeah.
Great song. Number 8 is What Is Love with a V by Fat Joe and Ashanti.
Oh, yeah.
Great
L-U-V.
tune. In the End
Oh.
by Linkin Park.
Oh,
It
they-
rounds out number
See,
7.
they at least
Holding on from 2001.
Yeah.
Big hit.
Big
Long life.
That one plays on the radio all the
Yeah.
time.
As it should.
Kind of
It
holds
really
up a little
didn't
bit.
matter, though.
No, it didn't. In the end.
In the end, yeah.
Number 6, 1,000 Miles by Vanessa
Oh.
Carlson. Somebody get her out of that truck bed. She's still driving down the street. Number 5 is Wherever You Will Go by The Calling. Do you guys even know this song?
I do know that song.
know
Can
that
you give me a
song.
chorus? Do you know it? Yeah, nope. You're like,
You
I know the song.
The Calling
in theory.
had 2 or 3 songs. I can't remember which is which.
Oh, number 4 is Dilemma by Nelly featuring Kelly Rowland.
Oh yeah, right.
3 is Hot in Here by Nelly.
sure.
Nelly was killing this year.
I'm surprised that wasn't one.
Number 2 is Foolish by Ashanti.
Ashanti. Big
And
year
number
for
1
Ashanti.
is This Is How You Remind Me by Nickelback.
Yeah.
That was
We
your
come out on top.
that was
it,
your
baby.
Billboard top 10
Let's go, Nickelback.
of the year. That was your rundown of 2002,
Wow,
guys.
what a year.
Man, a year for the books. Ugh.
And throw that book right in the garbage.
So
Right in the shredder.
we've gone through
let's
it.
talk about our favorite albums from that year.
Yes.
Alex, can you start us off?
Yeah.
2002, 4-year-old Alex. What were you what were you listening to?
So my favorite theme song back then was Sesame. No.
Arthur.
Oh yeah. Actually, I
When
think
you're walking down
I
the
think
street.
I
Gullah
was
Gullah
watching
Island
a
was a hot hit.
lot of
Binya,
Caillou
Binya,
back
Pollywog.
then.
Oh, Caillou.
I
Oh
hate
yeah,
Caillou.
you're a
Caillou.
Caillou kid.
Caillou.
I was a big
Alex was a
Caillou
Caillou kid. Blues Clues kid.
Oh hell yeah.
Heavy Blues Clues.
Only the OG Steve though.
Yeah,
New
I
Steve
know.
mids.
Yeah, new Steve Smith. His name wasn't even Steve. It was like Al or something. I don't know.
He's a 60-year-old man.
I know his name. It's Joe.
Steve's
He's like, this dog isn't
Steve's
even-
uncle.
It's
I saw the
definitely-
dog the whole
The
time. I
dog's just
thought
chained out outside. Chained up outside.
Blue has
Hey,
rabies.
get the fuck in here.
Oh man.
Alex, what do you got for 2002?
2002. I was on a toss up between 2 albums. I'll
Okay.
go with my main pick.
Go with your
Was
heart.
Probably the Black Keys, The Big Come Up, their first studio album or debut studio album.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Black Keys, they're more blues rock, punk blues type genre. Mikey showed me this album, and this was right when I actually got into vinyl collecting.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
got this album from Mystic Discs.
Yeah.
I remember listening to it on repeat, and now it plays like garbage for me because I played it on my very cheap turntable and ruined the record.
Yeah.
Time to buy a new copy.
Yep. So it's definitely time to buy a new copy, but has a really interesting cover of "She Said" by the Beatles on it.
Yep.
Which is
Oh yeah.
okay. It's
Oh,
not-
I like it. It's pretty groovy. It's like a fuzzy, groovy,
Yeah.
thrashed out like garage cover. I dig.
yeah,
Yeah.
not bad, but that's like one of the really notable tracks on that a lot of people took to. My second choice was by a band that a little more underground. That's Thievery Corporation,
Oh, sure.
The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah, it's a great record.
About 4 songs in the album I really, really appreciate, but the rest of the album I'm not really too fond of. I was shown this band by our cousin Peter, who lives in New York, when we were listening to a lot of Euro Lounge. It's very Greek, just loungy style of music. And that's why I really appreciate that album, but it didn't make my top because I didn't know the full album in its entirety.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
it's
I
really
know.
notable for me.
Yeah.
Luke, you want to go next?
Oh yes, I will go next. Okay, so
He
I
was gonna pick.
chose.
Lacuna Coil.
No,
Obviously.
you wish. I did buy that Lacuna Coil CD in 2002, but that is not what I'm going with. I am going to go with "Tell All Your Friends" by Taking Back Sunday.
Oh.
So
Debut album.
yes, the debut album by Taking Back
Wow.
Sunday. This record was really, really big for me when I was in high school. So not when it came out, but when it like came back around,
Yeah.
I really, really, really got into this record. This is where you, I guess, start off with Taking Back Sunday. It has a bunch of really, really classic songs, and this was like the era of Fuse, and the music videos would play. And this has one of the most classic music videos of like my high school era I can think of, with "You're So Last Summer," which has the band playing with Flavor Flav, and Flavor Flav is mouthing all of these like super emo lyrics. Oh my God, you've never seen this music
No.
video?
I would have never guessed that would have been a music video song from this album.
So this is why I chose this, because this is for me like the quintessential emo record, and I'm talking like emo. I'm talking like the bangs in front of the face, the scene kid emo. This
the
is
New
like
Jersey emo.
this is
Yeah.
where this came from, and this band like had this music video, and they're dressed. And they have like the style and the tight, the girl jeans, and they're wearing the shirts. And Flavor Flav comes out, and he's like doing like all the emo lyrics, like "She said do," and he's doing it so perfectly.
my
It's so
gosh.
funny. It's one of the best music videos of all time, and really fits like that culture really, really well. It's like early internet, and this album is recorded super raw, and because they didn't have, I don't think they had a lot of money at the time. And it just comes off really, really, really well in the way, in the execution, really like childish but heartfelt in a lot of like good ways. the screaming back and forth vocals throughout the whole album, like the "I'm saying this and I know the God's here." That was born on this album in its entirety. They're watching the music video right now. It's
Your lips to his collar, don't bother Rachel.
Oh.
I know exactly what goes on.
Thank you. That's cut from the team on here. Cute without
Cute
the
without
E.
the E.
So again, another classic. So I'd say like 2 essential emo songs on this album, and then some deeper cuts. Bike Scene, the album opener, You Know How I Do. Great Romance of the 20th Century. And my all-time favorite on this album with the jazzy-ass chords, Timberwolves at New Jersey. One of my favorite songs of all of the time in this era. So I have been highlighting emo records kind of in this slot, and records I do enjoy, whether they are like hold up or not later. It's a bit like high school-y childish, but I like it in a way, and it still holds up for me. What's up, Alex?
I had money on you either choosing Sonic Youth's album from 2002 or Bright Eyes album from 2002.
I
Lifted or your ear to the soil. Or whatever
do
that's called.
love Lifted, and I really get into it, and I was super into it. I mean, I have a Bright Eyes tattoo, but this record for me is like
Better.
it's the more influential record. I feel like this record formed a 150 million bands, like so many emo bands formed because.
And
of
this was
record.
this was the debut, and this was before the band kind of fractured.
Yes, after
Sean
this-
Nolan, was he the co-songwriter and guitarist, and then he left because there was like he's maybe slept with the lead singers.
Oh, I do not know.
I don't know, or
I don't
someone
know
slept with
all the
someone's
drama.
sister or girlfriend, and then he formed Straight Light Run and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
blah.
and after this record, Fred comes
think that's
in,
what it was.
and
Yeah.
they do Louder Now and
Right.
Where You Want to Be after that, and become a like kind
Where
of
You
like a
Wanna
little
Be is-
MTV band. But this is like the birth of it. Super like not click track emo.
Have you listened to this in a while?
Oh hell yeah, I listened to it last night.
Wow. Yo, it has that digital on all the guitars. You
yeah.
you could hear the bad like early days of MP3s.
It's a rough listen,
it is what it
But
is.
it is what it
Yeah.
is. It's like it's a thing of the time, and it's that force that made like what now sells out like all these like emo nights and stuff. And it was born in these guys doing really hard work, being a rock and roll band and making a kind of new formish of music that really
this is
went
one
off.
of the ones for emo music in the
Yeah.
in this whatever wave of emo you want to consider that third wave or whatever.
The record I really think is awesome too
Honorable
is
mention?
2002 is Hot Rod Circuit's Sorry About Tomorrow. I have talked about Hot Rod Circuit in this segment slot before, so I wanted to highlight another band in the genre, but that record is also solidly one of my favorites. So
Right on. There
you
you
go.
have it. All right. Well, mine is it was a toss up between two.
Don't be a
but
coward. Don't be a coward.
No. But the one that I'm selecting because I had 2 selections, and I'm like, I'm gonna go with this one. For me, released in 2002,
Come on.
obviously, Kill Switch, Engage,
okay.
Alive, or just I wasn't gonna do the Eminem show.
No, I thought you were gonna pick the self-titled Audio Slave album.
Oh, I saw that on there. I almost did.
is that the one with Cochise on it, or is that the second
That's
one?
the opener.
Yeah. No, I did see that was on there though. I definitely own that record. I bought that CD. But no, I'm gonna
Alive or
go.
Just Breathing.
I'm gonna go Kill Switch Engage, Alive or Just
Second
Breathing.
album.
It's the second album. The first one is like a self-titled sort of EP on Ferret Records. I mean, you can count it, but I kind of like. For me, it's like this is the album where like Kill Switch Engage arrives. It's with the original lead singer Jesse Leach, who would go on to be replaced by Howard Jones, and then Jesse ends up coming back quite a few years back, and he's been with the band ever since. But similar to kind of like what Luke was saying, for me, because I re-listened to this Kill Switch record, and I think it still holds up, man. I mean, it's an incredible record, and the end of Heartache was kind of my introduction to Kill Switch Engage. But I remember being in high school and seeing a bunch of people wearing like Kill Switch T-shirts and being like, maybe that's a band that I should listen to, And I had already listened to like The Shadows Falls and The Unearths and stuff like that, Lamb of God. So I was like, let me get to Kill Switch, and I did, and I was pleasantly surprised. Like kind of like what Luke was saying, kind of with his pick. For me, I think that this is a band that kind of gives you what we have today with like the Volbeats and the Five Finger Death Punches. It's that sort of melding between like the early metalcore sound from like your Hatebreeds and your Converges, and then incorporating some of that sort of Scandinavian sort of melodic metal and merging those two things into one. So you do have this sort of like brutal, breakdowny, chuggy, thrashy kind of thing going on, but the super marketable and melodic and singing songy kind of choruses on everything. And for some people, I guess, a lot of people would be like, nah, man, I'm not into the singing with the metal thing because, like, it should be screaming, like the purists and stuff like that. I completely disagree. I think the trajectory, what ended up coming from that, like, as people know me, I'm not really like a huge Five Finger Death Punch kind of guy, like, or any, like those types of bands. And, but this is really where I feel like it started. Around that time, you had Atreyu, you had Bleeding Through, you had Shadows Fall, which was my other album that I was going to pick. The Art of Balance came out that year as well. Between the Buried and Me's first album came out this year. There were a couple albums before this, but for me, this is like that landmark album where everything turns and every band starts kind of sounding kind of like Killswitch Engage. I like this one because it's a little bit rougher around the edges. Jesse's screaming and singing is a little bit harsher. It's not as nice to listen to as Howard's, where I think a lot of people prefer.
I like it more, though.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like, people like Howard because Howard is very, like, singing from the belly. It's this very operatic thing, But I like Jesse. I love the way that he sings. Notable songs on the album. I mean, Self-Revolution, Fixation on the Darkness. That goes on to be re-recorded with Howard anyway later. My Last Serenade is amazing. Just Barely Breathing is great. It's kind of like the beginning of when you get these songs where there's this sort of like, okay, the song's starting and it's like kind of building a little bit of a thing, and then you get this like great riffy sort of line, and then there's a breakdown underneath the riff, and it's just great. It's just great. So chugging breakdowns overlaid, yeah, it's just it's a fantastic record, man. I love
first
this
metal
record.
I got into.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just incredible, man, and it really did, like, Killswitch, not so much this record, but The End of Heartache, but this band as a whole, man, like, this sound, I think, influenced pretty much all the metalcore that we have today. So, like, if you're listening to, like, a new Trivium song or something like that, I think that Killswitch can kind of be credited as to why that sounds the way that it does. They were one of the first bands that had, like, that crazy, pristine production on everything. That crazy Mesa Boogie dual rectifier sound and all that stuff. So yeah, that's mine, man. Killswitch Engage.
Right on.
Alive or Just Breathing.
Cool. My pick for 2002 is an album that I did not buy until at least late 2003, if not early 2004. And nobody else on the planet bought this when it came out in 2002. And that's the album Songs About Jane by Maroon 5.
Oh, yeah.
Which did come out in, I think, summer of 2002 and then hit the top 10 on the charts almost 2.5 years later. Like a very slow burner. Singles released for this album like a year and a half into it. I love this album. I went back to it. It still holds up. Maroon 5 is now this like huge band. But for me, this is like the only album where they sound like a band and not like a bunch of things that are backing up the lead singer. I just think this is such a solid album. It has the hits, She Will Be Loved, Harder to Breathe, This Love. But some of my favorite songs are the other tracks like Shiver and The Sun. Sunday Morning is a great like jazz type of
Sunday
thing.
Morning.
Yeah. This is just like, it's one of those bands that when this came out, it was so much like a group of white guys that loved Stevie Wonder that also like loved kind of the Cars new wave type of sound. You can hear that kind of thing melded together. I think Adam Levine probably sounds the best to me on this album before it got like all double, triple, quadruple track, like falsetto type of stuff. He just sounds a little bit more like live in the room and like single kind of passes of all the vocal things. Yeah, just a great debut album.
What a crazy turn for a band. Everybody, this was like, when this got like big, I feel like John Mayer was also kind of like up on the up and ups.
That's how they got big.
Right.
They were his opener for like a year and a half.
Okay, so
Yeah.
marketed like the same, and I think everybody kind of thought this band was going to be like, oh, wow. And then like, but you have this one kind of great album that is really reminiscent of what that time was and what music sounded like. Like that was pop music on the radio. Like that was a modern rock band. I like that record. I like, you were naming all the songs. I was like, yeah, like "Come to My Window Now." That song's a great song. It's like, it fits in. It's just like Maroon 5 for me has that like after stink on it where it's hard for me to like
right.
even like get on it. But like bold choice, man, bold choice. I like it. I like it.
It's such a good record, and it's I mean, I'm not gonna look at the figures right now, but I think it's like 11 tracks maybe, and it's just like
We have it on
every
vinyl.
song is so
I was just gonna say that.
just
yeah.
like boom, boom, boom. Yeah, and it's just that like a true pop rock band album where it sounds like, oh, this is a band playing funky pop rock music. It doesn't have all this like studio trickery. It doesn't sound like just a production team and all these like drum machines and stuff like that. Stuff I do love, but I like to hear a band just like play as a band.
It's kind of like the last of like the '90s kind of styled like production band, like
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
making records like that. So interesting, man. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I didn't. I have like I heard a bit of this record, but when Jade and I first got together, she had it on vinyl, and I'm like, you know what?
Oh,
let me
really?
just spin this, and I spun. I was like, oh my god, I think I like Maroon 5, because at that time I was like, I'm like Adam Levine, you know,
Right.
like the kind of thing about it. And then I listened back to it, I was like, shit, this is a great record.
I know I remember like half of it in my head right now, which means it's memorable at that. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
solid,
it's so,
man.
it's so hooky. I don't know if it's a closer, but it's a song that was kind of like, I think it actually was recorded live and then some overdubs put on it, but it's called Not Coming Home, which is just this like rip roaring, like heavy, thick, funky rock song. So songs about Jane, love it. Some honorable mentions that didn't make the cut, but I do love as well. Coldplay's second album, Rush of Blood to the Head. Beck's slow, like kind of spacey, almost country folk album, Sea Change, which is like a big breakup, heartbreak, redemption, whatever type of album. Very beautiful album. Technically released in 2001, but physical release in 2002, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot by Wilco. They leaked their stuff and put it online at the end of 2001, but physical copies came out in 2002. And Songs for the Deaf by Queens of the Stone Age with the big hit No One Knows, Dave Grohl playing drums on the whole thing, and just a pummeling great
Fantastic
hard rock
record,
band
yeah.
and like album. And that was, I think, their third album maybe, and it just like kicked them into another level of popularity and all that.
Third album rule.
Yeah, that's it. So
Do you have any shout outs real fast?
I mean, the Eminem Show was probably the only one. Oh, also the 8 Mile soundtrack, which was a CD that I did in fact own. I listened to that a whole lot. That came out in 2002 as well.
I'm gonna the CDs we owned or bought. Weezer's Mail to Detroit, which is under Jeff's
It's being used as a coaster now,
right
as
now.
it should be.
One of the first CDs I ever bought. Avril Lavigne's Let Go was definitely in our household. Foo Fighters, One by One, a record I really think is like a strong Foo Fighters record if I go back and listen
Another
to it.
third album.
I really, really like that record. I think it's a strong record. Album art by Raymond Pettibone, too, by the way. Come Away With Me by Norah Jones. 2002, one of the best-selling album. I think the best-selling album of the year and one of the best-selling albums of all time. We definitely had that in our house. We were talking about that Bright Eyes record. Johnny Cash's. When the Man Comes Around.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Definitely was in my household and definitely got played in 2002. Jeff, just wanted you to know that Linkin Park released Reanimation, the
thank
remix
you.
album.
A classic.
Boxcar Racer, the band with Tom DeLonge and Travis Barker.
classic.
I love this record, and it was in our house. Good Charlottes, The Young and the Hopeless was definitely in our house.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Vines, Highly Evolved. In Lacuna Coils, I don't even know what the name of this album is, but that Lacuna Coil album from
Coil
2002, I definitely bought that. We had it. So those are all the albums I was like into in
boy.
2002 and actively listening to for
Yeah.
everyone at home.
Well, there you have it, folks. 2002, a year to remember. Did we miss anything? What's your favorite record from 2002? Let us know in the comments below. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to hit you with our new album review of the week. We'll be right back. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Get in the Garage.
We're a music podcast.
We
We're
are
the
the
music
music podcast
podcast.
for music lovers.
Oh, there we go. It is time for our new album review. Jeffrey, can you take the ball and tell us what the new album review is this week?
Yes, this is the latest release by Miley Cyrus. It's called Endless Summer Vacation. It's her 8th official studio album. It is 12 tracks. It is 40 minutes long. Perfect. About half the album, 6 tracks, are produced by Kid Harpoon and Tyler Johnson, the production and songwriting team behind Harry Styles' most recent work. Mike Will made it, a longtime collaborator of Miley, adds to like maybe 2 songs production. Max Miranda produces a song or two. Greg Kurstin, who's a big pop producer we've talked about many times, the Pink record, et cetera, produces a song. BJ Burton produces a song, and more. Flowers is the obvious big hit off of this, the album opener. I believe it's still at number 1. It has been for weeks. I like this album. I liked more of it than, or some of it more than other parts of it. But what do you guys think about this album?
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Miley is having a moment right now. She has the number 1 song in the country, Flowers. I thought this album was a really good listen overall. It had a great like flow to it. I liked a lot of the standout stuff on here, and then like Jeff said, some of the other stuff I was like, okay, not so much, but I thought overall she really knocked it out of the park, and for like a full album, I don't think she's achieved anything on this status before. I think this is like pure like gold standard for Miley right now. I feel like she's had some like real bangers in the past. And this is an album I feel like that's going to define the rest of her career. I feel like this is a new pitch point up.
Yeah, this was sort of her go at a concept album in the sense of, so if you have Disney Plus, I definitely suggest that you watch the Miley Cyrus Backyard Sessions. She plays a couple of cuts off of the album and gives just small interjections between songs to kind of explain what song means what and so on. One of the things that she had spoken about was that it's conceptually like AM and PM. So this album is chopped up sort of in half in a sense, where in the AM half is much more like, you know, lively, sort of uplifting music, kind of things that you would start your day with. And then the PM is sort of into the night, where there's a bit of relaxation, but there's also a little bit of sort of maybe risque behavior and stuff like that. She said that it's more or less a love letter to Los Angeles, where she lives. And I also agree. I think the record was overall a really good record. She had stated that this was more so, or I should say the motivation behind making this record was less on the idea of, you know, album sales and more so from the angle of just the importance of songwriting and what that means to her. I would agree with that sentiment. I think that it translates pretty well on this record, but like Jeff and Luke already said, I liked what I liked. What I didn't like, I wouldn't say that I hated, but was just kind of like, meh, this is okay. Where I found myself not caring so much was sort of, I guess, what you would dub the PM side of the record. The AM side of the record, I really did enjoy. I like that sort of self-love, kind of uplifting vibe. The PM side was kind of, things got a little bit more, for lack of a better word, maybe a little bit more boring or not uninteresting, but just kind of like, this is okay, but it's a little slow for, you know, because it hits so hard up front, you know, and then it kind of like fizzles out a little bit.
Yeah, I thought the first 6 tracks, this is 12 tracks and then a demo of Flowers at the end on the digital versions. I thought the first 6 tracks are the strongest tracks, and then the last 6, starting with Violet Chemistry on down, are just so much more, for lack of a better word, generic or uninteresting or unremarkable. Still solid songs, fine melodies, good production, but just like nothing memorable to me. Whereas the first 6 tracks, like kind of ba 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 ba. I really like those first 6 tracks.
Yeah, same here.
Like strong, like really enjoyed that first half of this album.
I really, really agree. And like the first 6 tracks, they have like more of like the upfront character. And then like maybe if like the song, like it wasn't so bad in like the later half, it was maybe because like she had already maybe like covered that stylistically before. But I loved the album opener, Flowers, the number 1 hit. I think this song is like, it has that like kind of disco-y new feel, as that great violin line that comes in that like catches your ear and like brings the melody into life. I really, really like that. Did you guys like? Oh, I'm also in love with, on this record in the first 6 songs, Handstand, where Miley Cyrus gives that spoken word thing where she's talking about like stingrays and manta rays and her friend Twitchy, and how all they could do was dance. And it sounds like if Tron was like mixed with like Baywatch, that was mixed with like sweaty
now we're talking
sweat, you know, in that way.
Yeah, the synth lead in the center might be is one of the highlights of the album. Might be the best part.
Yeah, yeah.
That
'Cause
like
it's
40
it's
seconds
like
where
an
you're like,
electro
oh,
breakdown.
yeah, and it goes up an octave. And you're like, yeah. I love that part.
Strongly agree. And
Yeah.
then lyrically, it's my favorite thing on the record. The song is basically a brag about how well she's doing it in a handstand, and great songs about doing it. This should be on the list. I feel like it is like really creative, and it made me like laugh and giggle, but it's like also like got like serious sexy moments to it. So for me, this is like the album highlight, and I wish more stuff on the record sounded like this, because I was like ready to go in this like futuristic Tron Baywatch thing for 40 more minutes. I was like, take me on this trip. I'm ready to go. I was all about it.
I feel like what she did really well was kind of like, so we covered quite a few we've covered a lot of records, but of last year, you know, so we had like the Beyonce record, we had Harry's House. I feel like she did a really good job of taking kind of like the highlight sort of moments from those records and kind of like applying them to this record in a really well done way too, where it doesn't really sound like it's a ripoff, but it still has that sort of great synthy thing. And then that song River, which if you watch the Disney Plus thing, she talks about how she had a party at her house and the only way that you were allowed to enter was if you brought a gay friend, and that was the inspiration behind that. And you know, for me, I just thought about kind of like, okay, cool. So, you know, we have this sort of anthemic thing that is, you know, very gay and pride, queer oriented and stuff, which is kind of like the essence-y thing that you got from like the Beyonce record, and then the inclusion of Kid Harpoon and Tyler Johnson from the Harry Styles kind of vibe that was happening too, kind of created this like cool mishmash, especially in those first 6-7 songs, that gives you that kind of a vibe that I thought it was so great.
That great thumping like acoustic piano in Grape Juice off Harry's House is also like kind of used in effect here as well on Rose-Colored Lenses when it hits into the chorus. I was like, oh man, that is that piano sound from Grape Juice. I went and listened to the Harry Styles record. I was like, oh yeah, they're like using it. It wasn't like a copy of it, but it was just like a note of like, oh, that was like a production trick, and it works. It sounds really great on that song, and it's just a stylistic choice that I think is really, it works well with the style of songs that she wrote for this record.
Yeah, I thought some of the weaker parts for me were Island, which kind of sounded like a country song done in a reggae style. Wild Card, which started kind of country and then became a dance track, which I thought Wild Card was all right, but it was just kind of blasé in a way. Muddy Feet, I thought was like, I saw it featured Sia, and I thought it was going to be this big thing, and then Sia really just does like oohs and hums for the last 30 seconds. It has like a Wild West whistle, but nothing else that's that interesting.
Yeah.
River to me was maybe my least favorite song.
Oh, I
because it sounded so much like a Gwen Stefani solo song, and I hate Gwen Stefani's solo music.
See, I was getting like Lady Gaga vibes from that one.
And I like the choppy synths, which was very like yo. But the rest of the song, I'm like, I do like the closer, Wonder Woman, which is very like Carole King piano closer type of power song. And then my favorite songs were, I really loved Jaded, which all instruments in production was Greg Kurstin. I really liked Rose-Colored Lenses with that really dirty driving bass sound. Some kind of like keys that were like doing these weird solo flourishes. And I read the liner notes. It must be a sax that's like played through a synth distortion thing. It sounds like a heavy metal kazoo, like
good.
But it's so good.
One of the best production moments on the entire record.
And also, like the other feature, I thought was amazing. Brandi Carlile is doing harmony vocals on the song "1,000 Miles," but also in a way, like I think Miley Cyrus sounds really strong, and maybe the strongest she ever has up to this point on this album. But with Brandi Carlile singing a duet with you, to me, it's like, oh, Brandi Carlile is like one of the 5 greatest singers on the planet, in my personal opinion. And so she got like outshined on that. But it does work. It pairs well, and she's not doing anything other than singing the harmonies. But it was, I guess I would say it was a great moment to hear Brandi Carlile bring some of that like higher type of thing against Miley Cyrus's very like husky, like grindy type of singing style. But overall, great. I thought really good, especially first half of the album. Amazing album cover, I'll say that, with the Strong and Sexy like holding up from like a trapeze or something.
Did you like that little Indian like boom boom bloom bloom in the what was that? Was that
In
1,000 Miles?
yeah.
At the beginning of it, it reminded me
Yeah.
of the Shania Twain album Up, where it has like all the Indian like influence on it.
The
Yeah,
Bollywood
I thought it was mandolin, but it must have been just done on synthesizer because in the credits there was nothing credited.
Yeah.
So.
I thought that was an interesting choice.
That song though, harmonica at the end with the boob.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was really
Thanks.
Paul Simon-y.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I thought that was interesting. I agreed with you, like the songs that you didn't really like. Island, except River. I love River. River is one of my favorite songs on this record. River to me sounds like a dance banger, and I can get down with it. Look up what it's about. It's another handstand. So very, very much in that vein, and I love that song. But Island for me was a little like Beach Boys Kokomo.
Yes.
So-
And I'm like, this is this endless summer vacation. But very Kokomo, where it's like, I like it the first 3 times I hear it.
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't hate it, but
It's pronounced Island.
but it just didn't like ring for me in that way. And then like you said too, like Wild Card, I felt like Wild Card was jaded, done different a little bit.
Sure.
And Muddy Boots, was like they weren't like bad listens, but they were just kind of like more generic, like you had said. So
Yeah, I would agree too. I think that those we kind of are unanimous on our lower points. I loved Rose-Colored Lenses. I thought that her knack for sort of this storytelling thing where she kind of gives this image of like, drawing the shades down in the hotel room, like we're just here together, like let's imagine like the world through rose-colored lenses. I like the imagery of that. I thought Jaded was cool, although, I can't help but think of that Aerosmith song.
I want to ask Miley, did you listen to Just Push Play when that came out? Were you a fan of Aerosmith? Let me know.
Let us know, Miley. We know you're listening.
Hit me up.
But yeah, obviously Flowers was great. Yeah, the bass throughout the entire record I thought was just absolutely great sounding, and it has that like thing. It's like it sounds so good. I love the song You, which was kind of a switch up to things because that was like I think it was the only song in 6.
Yeah, it's
so
like
it
a
gives you-
barroom ballad.
Yeah, so it gives you that sort of like old school soul flavor
I'm-
underneath her singing.
I'm glad you brought that one up because that was like
Yeah.
a great moment on this record where it was like Miley Cyrus like burned down piano singing about like this is who I am and this is the kind of love I want and this is me
Right,
unabashed and that's what makes this record more it's like she really let herself you got to see who she was and she like formed it around really great listenable songs.
Yeah, I agree. And also, yeah, I did enjoy Wonder Woman, although I was definitely getting like the Sarah McLachlan Arms of an Angel vibe on that track. But I think the message behind it is
Donate
great.
now.
It's about, like strong women in her life, more specifically her grandmother, who I guess from 2008 up until 2018 ran the Miley Cyrus fan club, originally from the Hannah Montana set, and then ended up moving it to her apartment. And
Billy Ray can't buy her house.
well, listen,
The
Billy
achy
Ray-
breaky money doesn't go far.
No,
Come
no.
on.
Yeah, no, he broke the bank.
Grandma wants it this way.
And that's
Humble.
and being somebody who was raised predominantly by women in my family, I really enjoy that sentiment and I like that. I also like how it's just piano and vocals. There's a really great take of that in the Backyard Sessions where. So I think it's the only one that she's not actually in the backyard. She's kind of in like a room where she's got the pianist in the back and he's just playing the chords and she kind of gives this really, really nice delivery of the song. So, but yeah, I would say Violet Chemistry was probably, I wrote it down as that is my least favorite song
Yeah,
on the
just
album.
too simple.
Yeah, I'm
unmemorable.
just
a
like,
little
eh.
a little shake off of that lavender haze too. It's kind of like Violet Chemistry, lavender. I felt that a little
Yeah,
bit here
yeah,
too.
yeah.
So I was like, all right,
Yeah,
I
but
feel
overall,
the same vibes.
I
but
think it was a fantastic album, man. And I'm-
30-year-old Miley Cyrus now too.
Yeah.
same age as me.
She sings in a way I'm wondering and hoping her voice doesn't give out in 10 years. Because she pushes her voice.
Yeah,
It sounds good on this record, like 95% of the time, but
yeah.
she's...
I'm here for it. Let's have like a gravelly Miley Cyrus singing like Johnny Cash.
when she's 43 years old.
myself today.
Yes, I'm here for it, Miley.
myself flowers.
Call me when it happens. I'll produce.
This is Bob Dylan.
I'll be Bob Dylan. Do that cover, the
Miley
Sinatra
Bob
covers
Cyrus.
album. You call me.
Yeah,
How
all
about
right.
some ratings of this album?
Yeah, let's go.
Really liked the first 6 songs. Second 6 songs were fine. So taking the averages of like what I thought was a 9 and then like a 6.5, I'm gonna say this is 7.5 or an 8. Let's say 8. I'm saying this is an 8 because I liked more than I didn't like.
I'm going to agree with Jeff. I'm going to go with a solid 8 on this. what I liked, I really, really liked, and the stuff that I didn't like, I feel like I didn't not like it enough to dock it more points.
Yeah.
So I'll go with an 8.
I'm going 7.7 on this one, a little pitchforky. Because I could use without that like Kokomo Island, and I could use like without like one more kind of like the done through stuff already. So I'm going a little pitchforky on this, 7.7. That's my rating.
All
I'm
right.
sticking to it.
There you have it, folks. What did you guys think? Did you like the album? Did you love the album, Alex?
2 things. Flowers reached a lot of streams in its first week, breaking some streaming records, and now is almost over 700 million plays on Spotify.
Woo.
It was originally released on January 13th of 2023. So it's been out for a minute, but it did reach really high peaks early on in its promotion. And one other thing I would like you guys to do is a recent segment we did was Duchess...
Oh,
I'm sorry,
Duchess
Diva or
Duchess,
Queen?
Diva or Queen. I'd like you guys to rate Miley Cyrus.
I
as
was
a diva,
thinking of
Duchess
this
or Queen.
while I was listening to this album. I was like, is Miley Cyrus a Duchess, a diva, or a queen? I'm gonna say she's solid diva territory, working her way up to a queen. I feel like she is like queen in training. She hangs out with a lot of queens. So
yeah, I'd say she's a diva too, just because I feel like she has like diva energy. She does whatever the hell she wants to do. She doesn't care. She'll flip you the bird if you disagree with what she says or does. She lights joints on stage in the middle of performances.
Oh yeah, so it's not really like because queen status is like it's queenly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
So
very queenly.
Very
it's very
diva.
queenly.
You're
Yeah,
right.
she's
very
very
diva
diva.
status.
She's just kind of like, in your face.
I think Diva, she has gone through many transformations in the past 15 years, and I'm excited to see what she has next. I really liked the album before this in 2020, Plastic Hearts, which is more of like a Joan Jett, Pat Benatar type of music, and now she's going to like kind of poppy disco type stuff. We'll see where she goes next. I'd love a country record.
Same
Like a
here.
Dusty Springfield, like soul country record would be cool.
Yeah.
But also wherever she goes, I'm excited to see what happens.
You too.
Here, here. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe and share the podcast with all your friends, your family members, and your local ski enthusiasts.
Do it.
We'll see you next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.